Monday morning mock draft. What's up, guys? With the NFL draft just over a month away, I thought let's get this week started right with a Monday morning mock draft. I just spoke yesterday about Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham, how the Bears were heavy in attendance at his pro day, and how I actually believe the chances of him being available at pick 10 are rising slightly. All it takes is a couple of players being selected early ahead of us in the top 10. Guys like Will Johnson, Ashton Genty, Armand Mimbu, or Shadur Sanders. If a couple of those guys go early, there is a chance that Mason Graham can fall to pick 10. I have him as a blue chip player in this year's draft, and I think he's an instant impact type of defender who profiles as not only a day one starter, but a guy you can build your defense around. Pro Football Network's mock simulator seemed to agree with me and has Mason Graham still on the board at pick 10 on my very first try at a mock draft here. So let's go ahead and run it. I'm going to select Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham and see what I can put together if he's still on the board at pick 10. This would also prevent a valid trade down option if another team wanted to move up and take Mason Graham, but PFN's trades are a bit wonky, so I'm just going to run the draft here. Now, in this situation, it's a bit crazy. The board is absolutely wild here. With three stud defensive tackles at the top, the value here didn't really play out for us, but Omarion Hampton is still on the board as well. I don't see any way this guy falls to round two, but if he was there, he would be an instant selection. I think he would be a perfect fit. If we could start off a draft with Mason Graham and Omarion Hampton, that's an A plus without even taking the rest of the draft into account. What I would do in this situation is continue to add to the trenches. One of my favorite edge rushers in this entire draft is Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss. Being able to grab him in round two with Mason Grant would pay absolute dividends for our defensive line. I think our defensive line would be a huge strength on this team if we could somehow end up with this draft. And this is where the Bears would have a choice here. If Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson are still on the board, you could definitely go running back. But for me, I would be looking to go back to the trenches here and add another guy that could come in and help out this offensive line and provide depth and be a valuable starter if one of our guys got hurt. To me, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia would be a perfect fit for that. I'm going to grab him and really upgrade these trenches and then see if I can still land a running back in round three. The board actually fell too perfect for me here with Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson both still being on the board at pick 72. If Quinshawn Judkins somehow was on the board at pick 72, I would turn this pick in so fast. I wouldn't argue if we went with Henderson over Judkins, but to me, I think Judkins would be a perfect complement to DeAndre Swift, and he profiles as a three down back in the NFL. At this point, I'd be leaving day two with some major upgrades on this roster. Mason Graham and Princely Umanmielen for the defensive line, and then I grabbed Tate Ratledge for the offensive line and future starting running back Quinshawn Judkins. At this point, we'd really be able to do whatever we wanted in the draft. But seeing Malachi Moore, a safety from Alabama, still on the board, if this guy is there in round five, a guy who could potentially end up being a starting safety by next year, I would go ahead and add him to the roster. And then we have two seventh round picks. These ones are always kind of crazy to mock because we never know who's going to still be on the board this late in the draft. It's already hard enough predicting early in the draft, but this late in the draft, you have absolutely no idea how it's going to play out. But there are some guys that if they're still on the board, they would make a lot of sense. I really like Cody Simon, the linebacker out of Ohio State. This is a guy who could play special teams and maybe work his way into the linebacker rotation as well. Give me Cody Simon. And then for the final pick of the draft, you're just looking for somebody who's a sleeper. It's deep in round 7. Considering this year is so talented an edge rusher, taking another edge rusher in round 7, a guy who usually would probably go in round 4 or 5 in a normal edge rush class, if a guy like Barron Sorrell is there, I'd go ahead and turn this card in. The Boise State edge rusher isn't bad as well. Johnny Walker from Missouri. There's some guys who could fall here. Let's go ahead and wrap this draft up. So these are my full results above. I took Mason Graham in the first round, Pass rusher out of Ole Miss, Princely Umanmielen in round 2. Also added Tate Ratledge, the guard out of Georgia. Came back in round 3 and somehow, some way landed Quinshawn Judkins. No way do I believe he falls this far in the draft, but anything's possible with this much running back talent. I have Quinshawn viewed as my running back too, but some teams may have him as running back 7 or 8, so you just never know. Then I grabbed safety Malachi Moore, linebacker Cody Simon, and edge rusher Baron Sorrell. I did want to quickly just show one other mock draft. I'm not going to walk you through this one or anything, but I did another mock draft where we landed Tyler Warren after this one and somehow was still able to land Walter Nolan in round 2. And this is one of the things I'm trying to get the point across here. No matter how you play this draft out, when we get to pick 39, there's almost always going to be at least 1 or 2 players on the board that none of us thought had any chance of falling that far. It could be Walter Nolan. Honestly, right now, we have no idea who it is, but at pick 39 and even 41, we're going to have a chance to add some first round caliber of players. I also added Landon Jackson here, then was able to add Emory Jones in round 3. And then I went a little bit of a different route here. I grabbed 2 running backs. Since I waited till day 3 to grab a runner, I was able to land Devin Neal and LaQuint Allen, 2 guys who could actually complement each other pretty well, and then tight end Jackson Hawes in round 7. Just wanted to have some fun and start this week off with a mock draft. I always try to be realistic and have fun with mock drafts, but all mock simulators are a little bit different. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, but I appreciate everyone who watches. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned because I have a ton more content on the way. And until next time, bear down.